Hello YouTube, and today we're going to be doing the ultimate racket showdown for the best racket ever in my opinion. So recently I just posted a top 5 badminton rackets video where I shared 5 of my favourite rackets so far, and in the number 1 spot there is the Astrox 77 and the Voltric Z Force 2. I also said in the video that if you wanted to see the ultimate racket showdown, hit like and comment or whatever, and you guys did that. So, as promised, I'm going to be doing this video. Let's try get this video to 250 likes. Both of these rackets are actually phenomenal. It doesn't actually matter hugely which one you pick, but I mean, both of these rackets are quite expensive, so I'm making this video to help you decide which one to choose to spend your money on. When comparing two rackets, you have to look at loads and loads of different factors. Let me just read out a list of them that I came up with where I'm going to be discussing in this video. Power, control, speed/handling, design, price, how user-friendly is it, consistency, the size of the sweet spot, is it doubles oriented, is it singles oriented, the release date, and also the ambassadors. As you guys know, both of these rackets are extremely powerful. Like, that is one of the main reasons that I like these two rackets so much. It's so hard to kind of like give one of these rackets like the crown over the other in terms of power. So therefore, I'm just gonna say both of these are equally powerful, but it's just different types of power. So with the Voltric Z Force 2, you're getting a more punchy and more solid feeling power. With the Astrox, you're getting a more whippy power. The next category is control. Control is very, very important in a badminton game because it allows you to do hairpin net shots, it allows you to do very, very tight drop shots, or even like smash down the lines where you need to like catch out your opponent. Since the Astrox 77 has a more flexible shaft, it automatically means that this racket will have less control. And it actually does translate to that in reality, but it doesn't mean that the Astrox doesn't have good control. It just means that the Voltric Z Force 2 with a much stiffer shaft has better control and better touch. So therefore, for this category, I'll give it to the Voltric Z Force 2. Speed and handling is the next category. It's very important because you need to be able to move your racket fast enough to defend your court from like fast smashes, or even like do quick responses back such as drives to catch out your opponent. So as you guys know, the Voltric series has a lot of power, but is also famous for being kind of sluggish when it comes to handling. Many people who are not very developed in terms of strength and technique will find that the Voltric rackets are way too head heavy for them to use effectively in doubles. The Astrox 77 has better handling than the Voltric Z Force 2. I would actually say it's closer to the Dura Z Strike, but it's just not as quick as the Dura Z Strike. The Astrox 77 still has that head heavy feel, but since there's a counterweight on the bottom, it's heavily reduced and it just feels a lot more even. So therefore, when it comes to handling, I have to give it to the Astrox 77. Okay, the next part is not very like important, and it's not like one of the main things you have to like look at when it comes to choosing a badminton racket, and that's the design. Simply choosing a racket based on design is too subjective and it doesn't actually translate into anything practical in gameplay. So I'm just going to give my opinion and say that I prefer the look of the Astrox 77, but I also prefer the matte finish on the Voltric Z Force 2 because matte finishes just tend to last longer. I just recently did an Instagram poll where I asked you guys which design do you prefer more, and most of you guys just say the Voltric Z Force 2. And by the way, if you haven't already, follow my social media accounts. My Snapchat is KenCasaputra and my Instagram is poisoncobra.ken. All of the information is available in the description below and also on the screen right now. The next category is obviously the price. Price is usually one of the first factors you look at before choosing a racket. But, I mean, both of these are high-end Yonex rackets and they're both very, very expensive rackets. The Astrox 77 came out more recently, so therefore it is slightly more expensive. But if you want to be getting rackets at a much lower cost than basically any other place, visit Longtang, they're my sponsor, shout out to them. Their website is www.lt328.com. They're based in Hong Kong, but they like ship internationally all over the world, so it doesn't matter where you are. Normally in the UK, an Astrox 77 will cost around £200, but if you go to Long Tang, you can easily get this racket for like just over £100 or something like that. It's crazy, like their prices are unbeatable. And don't worry, all their stuff is genuine. If you can't find any of the products on their website, their email and their address is at the bottom of the website page, so go check them out. Okay, so back to the point. The Voltric Z Force 2 is just generally slightly cheaper than the Astrox 77 because, yeah, the Voltric Z Force 2 came out a lot longer ago. So let's talk about the user friendliness of both of these rackets. The Voltric Z Force 2 has a compact frame and a stiff shaft, which makes it slightly harder to use and requires a more advanced technique to hit the shot. The Astrox 77 has a bigger frame head and also a more flexible shaft, which allows you to generate power slightly easier with even a weaker technique. But it doesn't necessarily mean that this racket, the Astrox 77, is for noobs or anything. It's just the fact that it's slightly easier to use than the Voltric Z Force 2 and slightly easier to get used to. The consistency of rackets is very, very important because there's no good having a very, very powerful racket, but you can only hit a powerful shot once every 50 shots. That's not good. A consistent racket allows you to deliver powerful and accurate shots when you need to every single time basically. And that's very, very good. When you're first trying out these rackets, the flexible shaft, if you're typically using stiffer rackets, will kind of mess up your timing and then slightly make your shots inconsistent. But the bigger frame allows you to hit the strings a lot easier than on the Voltric Z Force 2 because the Voltric Z Force 2 has a smaller frame, and sometimes when you're getting used to a new racket like that, you'll be hitting the frames quite a lot. But on the Voltric Z Force 2, you have a stiffer shaft which allows you to get a bit more control and you'll be hitting more kind of accurate shots. But after you use these rackets for like quite a while, you'll basically be getting used to both of these and they're pretty equal. So yeah. So now let's look at the sweet spot. Sweet spot does not mean how big your frame size is. It just simply means how big of an area on your string bed can you easily play a very, very accurate and soft shot and have that crispy feeling. Some rackets you can just hit slightly off center and it literally feels like you're totally missing the shot. Whereas on both of these rackets, the sweet spots are huge, so you can be hitting the side and it'll literally feel like you're hitting the center, but you know you're hitting the side because both of these rackets have good touches. In terms of sweet spot to head ratio, both of these are very, very equal, so there's no clear winner here. Let's look at which racket is more doubles and singles oriented. The Astrox 77, in my opinion, is a lot more doubles oriented because it's a lot easier to handle and you can generate power really, really quickly. And because of the flexible shaft, it won't be as like pinpoint and accurate, but that doesn't really matter as much in doubles than in singles. On the Voltric Z Force 2 is a bit more sluggish, you get more control, but you still get those thunderous power. So therefore, I'd say the Voltric Z Force 2 is more singles suited. You can still use the Voltric Z Force 2 for doubles. I kind of recommend the 4U edition, which is slightly lighter than the 3U edition, which I have here for doubles though. The Astrox 77 is also good for singles though. The release dates of these rackets are different by 3 years. The Astrox 77 is released in 2017, whereas the Voltric Z Force 2 is released in 2014. The Voltric Z Force 2 has more renowned ambassadors than the Astrox 77, and what I mean by that is the Voltric Z Force 2 has people like Lee Chongwei and Lin Dan using it, whereas people who are using the Astrox 77 are Yamaguchi and slightly less well-known players. That isn't really like a big and important factor though, because you shouldn't be using a racket just because your favorite star is using it. You should be using a racket because it suits you and how you play badminton. Comment below in the comment section which racket you think is better. I'll be reading comments and liking them. Also, if you want me to do more like ultimate comparisons between two amazing rackets, then simply comment the suggestions below and I'll also be looking at that. Please like, subscribe, and tell friends about my channel. Bye bye!